If you often find yourself waking up and thinking to yourself, is this it? And you know that the life that you are living is not the one that you are supposed to be living, then my love, this episode is for you. One of my absolute favorite things is receiving messages from women to say how inspired they are by the way I live my life. And I get it. I'm 41. I'm still single. I'm living in Lisbon, Portugal, where I've been for the last 3 years. And I'm about to live in the US of A, which is such a big, big move. And for the last 6 years, I have had a freedom lifestyle. I work for myself. I decide what I do with my time. I decide what my earnings are. I know that I live such a blessed and a life that so many women wonder to themselves, like, how is she living that way? And I really want this episode to be the permission slip for you to just want more and to trust and to know and to believe that more is absolutely possible for you without shame. 6 years ago, I took a really, really big risk on myself. I decided that I needed change. I know something needed to change and I didn't quite know what it was. I'd gotten over my ex by this point. I had a really big breakup and I'd healed myself by just allowing myself to just move on and do my life and not rush into another relationship and to just really take my time. I went to the Amazon jungle. I did ayahuasca. I went traveling. I moved back to Manchester. There were so many things that I did just to really root and ground, and it was so amazing for me. And I started dating again. And the guys that I were dating, they weren't terrible guys. They were actually really kind, nice guys, and they had so much to offer. They were definitely an upgrade from my ex-boyfriend, and the relationship was too. But what I realized is, okay, so I'm back in Manchester and my life is going well. I'm over my ex, bonus, and I'm dating again with really great guys, bonus, and I'm working my dream job. At that time, I was doing what I thought was my absolute dream, and that was being a fashion buyer. And I loved it. I really, really loved it. And I'd bought my second home. So I had an apartment in London, and then I had an apartment in Manchester as well. Like, on paper, I was fucking winning in so many ways. And yet, I woke up one day and I realized that I ticked so many great boxes. Dating great guys, working my dream job, homeowner. You know, I had a great car, like it was a really fancy car, Range Rover. It was like, on paper, I was like, wow, all of these things are so dope. And all of the things that I thought would make me happy. And yet I'm not miserable. I wasn't depressed, but I was borderline flatlining and nothing excited me. So I decided to spend my last savings on a coach. And that coach ended up being one of the best decisions I'd ever made in my entire life, and ended up being the ripple effect of so many other great things that I went on to do. And when I was working with her, I realized something really, really huge, something uncomfortable. And that was that I was actually living a life of default. I was doing things that I had been conditioned and programmed to believe were the things that would make me quote unquote happy. And I realized, oh, I was sold a lie, because I have all of these things, all of these great things outside of me are all the things that I had aspired to have. And I was in the experience of having them. Yet also at the same time, I felt like numb. There was like no juice or no fire. And even more so, I found myself just continuously trapped in my mind of constantly thinking, oh, I have to get better at the job. It must be that. Like, I have to get the promotion. If I get the promotion, then I'll be happy. Oh, maybe it isn't this apartment. Maybe I need another property. And by that point, I'd had two. Or maybe I need to remodel, or maybe I need to change the bathroom. Or maybe it's not this guy. Maybe it isn't this guy. Maybe I need to date a different guy because he isn't it. And on that journey of discovery, I realized that I was chasing everything outside of myself. I was chasing all of the things that little girls have been programmed to chase, to receive the thing that we think that we need. And that is validation, love, appreciation, compliments from the outside world so that the world is a yes to us. And when the world is a yes to us, then we'll be a yes to ourselves. And I want this episode to just be the thing that you get to really start taking a really loving, beautiful look at your life. Because if you are waking up and you are in this season of realizing that all of these things around you are great, but you don't feel like you have any life inside of you, any joy, any energy, any excitement, any zest, any spark, any aliveness, even the ability to just do something wild and different and fun and something that isn't quote unquote a normal thing to do, you know, like, because me moving to New York was definitely not normal. Like, I don't know how many girls from Bury have moved to New York. There'll probably be a small handful, but it is just not the norm. And honestly, like, I've thrived off of that now. I've thrived on being like, if everyone else is going right, I'm fucking going left. Because based on what I see in the world, even women in relationships, they don't look to be perfectly happy and bouncing around, and they don't look like they're in full joy with themselves. Women who are mothers, I mean, I'm sure being a mother is a beautiful experience, but I still don't experience a lot of women who are mothers who are extremely, extremely happy. So when I look outside of myself and I look at all the people that went right, like, there is a small pocketful who I genuinely see as having a really, really great life. And honestly, those are my mentors and the people that I know that are in the work. Why? Because first and foremost, they've prioritized, I think I've said that right. Prioritized, there we go, got it. They prioritize themselves, not so that they can have anything great outside of themselves, but also just first and foremost, so you just get to be in a great relationship with yourself, because, you know, we're with ourselves for a really, really long time. And I'm just going to cast back to the moment that I realized that I needed a change. And that moment was when I realized that my ex-boyfriend had betrayed me once again with someone else that I knew. And this moment, I can just see it. I can even just see myself getting up from my desk. I was working at the Hut Group in Cheshire. And I saw myself lift myself up out of the desk, off the desk, and take myself to the bathroom. And I wasn't in an emotional storm or anything. Like I said, I was just literally like flatline. I was like numb. And I went into the toilets and I looked into the mirror and I said to myself, do you not love yourself enough that you'll allow someone to treat you this way? And back then I was talking about him. And then I realized years later, once I got into the work, that I was actually talking about myself. He wasn't the villain of my story. He wasn't the one that was creating drama. He wasn't the one that was creating chaos. It was me, because I was choosing it all. I was saying yes to it all. And I know that for so many women, we stay stuck in experiences, relationships, career, financial setups, because that is what we know. We settle for less because it's what we know, because it's familiar. We've never really been given full permission to want more for ourselves, to want better for ourselves. Because the woman who wants more love, freedom, money, independence, joy, adventure in her life, well, there's shame on that. She is full of herself. She's asking for too much. She's superficial. She's demanding. You know, that whole energy of a woman wanting more comes with so much societal shame. Because for centuries, we've been pit up against ourselves and we've been told that we're the lesser than sex. And we've been brainwashed to believe that we have to be happy with what we have, even if what we have isn't necessarily what we want. We should still want it anyway, and we should be appreciative for having something. And that has just meant that so many women have settled. So, of course, when I receive messages from women sharing how inspired by my lifestyle they are, first of all, high five to being inspired and not being intimidated. I'm such a yes to the woman that sees another woman living a certain flavor of life and it inspires her versus intimidates her. Because the minute you get into intimidation, you're literally blocking yourself off from change. But if you let yourself be inspired, you actually let your body feel something. And you can see that it's absolutely possible for you, and it absolutely is. One thing about living default life is you'll know you're living the default life is if you genuinely know that each and every single day you just don't feel like you are fully alive. Like you're just kind of going through the motions. Everything's on autopilot. It's almost like Groundhog Day. You're kind of having the same conversations with the same people, having the same complaints. At the weekend's kind of like, oh, and now I can relax and just let go of the week. And the weekend, you tend to either try and socialize and do something, and you force yourself to do it. And even when you do it, you don't fully enjoy it, or it's so once in the blue moon that you love it so much because you don't allow yourself to do it as often. But the weekends are basically your getaway from the Monday to Friday groundhog. And this isn't just necessarily directed because of work, because historically Monday to Friday is work. Like, I don't work like that anymore. I can work on a Saturday if I want. I can take Wednesday off if I want. I've literally been able to create a schedule that works for me and my system. But if you know that each and every single day you're scoring your life at maybe like less than a 5 out of 10, then you've got to get to work and you've got to do something different, because based on results, you are not actually fully living a life of potential. And the only woman that can change that is actually you. So how? You're probably wondering by now, okay, this is great, Anna. I love what you've done with your life. I love that it's possible for me. I love the permission slip. And I can definitely see that my life as I'm living it is absolutely not the way I want to be living it. I don't want to be scoring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 10. Absolutely not. We want to be 5 and above. Let's fucking go. If you know that you want change, then I'm going to share with you the direct ways of how to do it. So number one thing, this requires identity level change. Now, I'm going to share with you what I mean by that. The version of you right now, your thoughts, your beliefs, your behaviors, they have literally got you to where you're at now, which means if you want something different, you've got to start choosing different. You've got to think differently. You've got to feel different. You've got to act different. Behaviors, so big. In fact, that's what I focus on in my work, is the behavioral change, and then it creates a knock-on effect on the others. This is an identity level change, which means it's not going to happen overnight. Obviously, it's took me 6 years. In fact, I'll share a fun fact with you. About 4.5 years ago, 5 years ago, I did a program with one of my mentors. And in that program, we are given this ultimate goal, like a one thing goal. It's by an author called Gary Keller, I believe. What this program did is supported us in being able to create that big one goal. And we're not talking like little tiny goals. We're talking like big monster goals. And I can't remember exactly what my goal was. I think it was something connected to my business. But on top of the layer of the one thing goal is the someday goal. And my someday goal was to live in New York City, because at 25, I was on another heartbreak around the world trip. I tend to have this thing that whenever I break up with a guy, I go on a breakup trip. Anyway, this one was like a big all around the world, is when I was living in London. The very last stop that I had on that 7 or 8 month trip was New York City. And I remember landing in Manhattan, and I just got off a bus because I couldn't afford the cab fare. I got off, and the minute that my foot hit the pavement, this wave of energy run through me. And the very first thing that I said out loud to myself on the streets of New York City is, I'm home. And it's never left me since. And since then, I was 25 years old. I have been to New York probably about 15 times now. And every single time I go, I just get like a download of this energy and just this wave of like aliveness within me. Obviously, 5 years ago, I set the someday goal that I would move to America. And that someday is happening this year. And I'm sharing this with you because identity level change, so that we can create the big external change in our life, doesn't happen overnight. It's taken 6 years. 6 years of me building somatic capacity, nervous system capacity, changing my thoughts, my belief systems, rewiring a lot of the self-doubt and the limitation and the lack and the scarcity inside of my body that was essentially assigned and curated for the default life of stay small, be happy with what you've got, go to uni, get a job, meet a man, get married, and just do that, and just settle for any of those things. Like, don't even be intentional about the guy, don't even be intentional about the career, don't even be intentional about where you want to live. Just settle for whatever. Just choose the first thing available. The identity level change isn't going to happen overnight. It's what I share with my clients is like, this is an excavation process. We are literally dismantling so much energy inside of you that is connected to ruminating thoughts that are living inside of your subconscious mind. So the identity level change, it really starts with your nervous system, because your nervous system essentially is orchestrating how you relate to the world, to yourself. It's literally a living live wire of all of this energy connection, and it's how you're perceiving the world, how you're relating to the world, how the world relates to you, all of it. So if you have a small window of tolerance with your nervous system, you have reduced capacity, which means that you don't have the kind of thoughts that you're going to be able to think outside the box, or you're going to be able to see something that is really fucking scary right in front of you. Like me moving to New York, I'm petrified. All of the noise of my old identity is coming up because I'm forming into and reshaping into a new identity. All of the noise is coming up and saying, you can't do this. Like, New York is too far away. It's too expensive. America is wild. Like, you want like the health insurance, like all of this noise of like how America is set up is literally like being thrown at me. And my nervous system is being asked to breathe into the fear and the unknowns and the change. And I'm recalibrating my system now more than ever. But it's taken 5 years for me to train that system to be able to be with it and not collapse and be like, oh, do you know what? I'll wait till 2029. Or do you know what? I'll wait until I'm 50. I'm like, no, bitch. No more waiting. We don't do this. We don't do this anymore. We can do this. Instead, my nervous system has recalibrated. So it's like a new shaping constantly coming forward. And what's happening as I'm doing that, and this is the next step, is a new identity is forming. So every single time my nervous system goes AWOL, should we call it, and starts bringing up all of these fearful thoughts and then creating anxiety, what do? I breathe into it and I say to myself, is it true? Is it true that that's going to happen? Is it true that, you know, you're going to go there and everything's going to fall apart? Is it true that you're never going to see your parents again? Like, is it true? And I get to really, really evidence stack and find what is fact and what is philosophy. And if it's philosophy, it's coming from my ego brain, and it's coming from the part of me that's been conditioned to keep myself small and not do the thing, because how dare I be the woman that has that big dream and actually fucking goes for it? How dare she? And that is just all of the noise from society. And yeah, I'll be really, really honest with you. Like, it isn't easy. It's hard. It's really hard. But do you know what's harder? Staying somewhere where you know it isn't it. Do you know what else is harder? Is being in a relationship when you know that you're settling for less and you're settling for mediocre, when really you deserve a really, really, really exciting relationship, which is like blows you over and is in full devotion. Do you know what's really, really hard as well? Is being stuck in a job where you know that you're undervalued and underpaid. And to me, I'd rather take the hard road of doing something that is fucking going left when everyone else is going right. And when I know it's the thing that I really, really, really desire and who I get to be in the process. And that's the identity level. So the nervous system reshapes because you're doing something that's different and something that's scary. And then in that process, your identity starts to shift. And then the next step after that is that your standards start to change. Because with new identity comes new standards. For example, if I wanted to move to New York, but yet at the same time, I also wanted to not work. I wanted to basically work two days a week. I probably would figure out a way to make it happen. I'm not going to lie, but it would probably take me longer to move to New York, right? So fundamentally, my standard of work needs to change. Now, not necessarily to work more, but how can I actually make it so that I work 2 days a week while I build out a team? So my standards in my team have to change. There's a certain requirement and there's a certain energy of the people that I have in my team that get to be connected to the vision and the value of the work and the excellence that I provide my clients. All of that standard needs to uplift so that I can take more time off, so that I can concentrate on focus on moving to New York. That's where the standards change. It's like you have to be a woman of standards, but not just for yourself. You need to be a woman who invites standards from other people in your life. And then the last step is you embody self-trust. because your nervous system expanded and you can do scary things even when your brain is telling you not to do them. Your identity's changed because now you're a woman that is actually doing the do, walking the walk, talking the talk, and fundamentally like how you think about yourself, and life will shift and shape and change in that process. And your standards, your actual tangible standards in your life have shaped differently because you're connected to a different vision. You're connected to a life that is unconventional, but is in alignment because you've designed it. You didn't follow it because that's what every other woman was doing it. You followed it because it was true to you. And because of that, self-trust is just seamless for you. Like, you are the woman that trusts herself. And when you have that, you can have and create anything that you want in this lifetime. And I just want to say as well, like, just going back to the bit around it not being easy and it being hard, it really has been hard to do this change. It really has. You know, I've had so much fear come up, fear of loneliness, like even moving to Lisbon, not knowing anyone. Like, I know people in New York, it's a little bit different, but I didn't know anyone 3 years ago when I moved to Lisbon. Not a single soul, no one. That in and of itself is a lot for the body. It is a lot for the nervous system to put yourself into an experience where you know you're going to be on your own and you know that it's only you that you can rely on. And the money aspect as well, like, hello, high five to all the single women who, you know, you pay 100% for everything from your rent to your food to the Ubers, you know, it is a real thing. I am not even gonna sugarcoat it. Being a single woman, we should be getting discounts all over the place. Whenever I'm like going on a trip somewhere and I'm booking my hotel, I'm like, this is so frustrating that I pay for the full room myself. But yet, if you're in a relationship, it's half the price. It literally, I just can't get over it. But then also, I'm not going to call in a man just because I want 50% discount on my hotel room. But it's such a real thing that so many single women have to and get to be with, you know. And there's also, as much as it's a fear and it is an additional challenge, it's also something really beautiful that a woman gets to be with for herself because she doesn't get to be limited by finances. And then, of course, like another fear that has been coming up for me is judgment, like judgment of who does she think she is, or even the judgment of being a woman that goes after what she wants. You know, you can be judged for that. And also just friends and family being like, oh, there's Anna doing something wild and stupid again. Da, 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 da. All of that noise still comes up for me. And you know what I do? I hit fucking unsubscribe and I say no to that noise and no to what other people are going to think and no to fears about, you know, money or fears about being lonely. I figure out a way to make it happen so that those fears make it so that I become the woman that actually gets to do more and create more in this lifetime. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I really, really loved this episode. I'm such a yes to a woman living a life that really, really feels so alive to her. And if you want more of these episodes, hit subscribe if you haven't done already. And I'd love a 5-star review and a comment with something that you learned from this episode or something that has really, really inspired you.